entertainment purposes only. Not to be taken as legal advice. Welcome back, everybody. It's Tuesday. Oh, the weekend went by so fast. I hope you all had a wonderful Mother's Day weekend. Oh, it was so sweet. I got to spend Mother's Day with the wife. Great conversation. By the way, it's so hard to get reservations for Mother's Day. I had to learn that the hard way because we were going out and then I was just like, oh yeah, let's go out somewhere. And then she was just like, did you get reservations? I was just like, yeah, we could get reservations somewhere. How hard is that going to be? And then that's when I found out. It was like, well, it's the busiest time of the year to get reservations for any restaurant anywhere. And I was like, you ever just feel lucky? You ever just feel like, oh, that's a problem for everybody else, but not me. I'll somehow manage. My luck ran out on Sunday. I was not as lucky as I intended it to be, but we still got the card and the event and whatever, and the little baby, with us. So it was our first, little Mother's Day celebration there. So that was really exciting, and I love it. We were out hanging out, but yeah, we had to go to another restaurant, a little bit, a quick little seafood restaurant that we like going to. Kind of a drive-through type deal, but I'm gonna make it up though. But other than that, I hope your Sunday was good for Mother's Day. Mother's Day is not only a holiday here in the United States on the second Sunday, the first Sunday of the second Sunday of the month. In Europe, Mother's Day is the first Sunday of the month. In India, they celebrate the same Mother's Day as we do here in America. So all my staff, had a wonderful Mother's Day and day off for that one. So I hope that you were able to have fun with your Mother's Day festivities. And now we are back. And we are going to talk about an important subject today, which is swipe now, fix later. I love it because here at Creditor Academy, we love to have fast remedy. We need remedy and we need it now. I'm not here to go ahead and go down deep rabbit holes or talk about different forms that you submit to various government entities or try to lead you down a path that may or may not work or be successful. This is why at Creditor Academy, I focus on I want remedy now. If you've been searching through other channels or other guru networks and you're just like, I just need something, Paul Michael, that's going to work, that I can rely on, that has a high probability of working. I say high probability because nothing in life is guaranteed. So we have a 99.99% success rate. But once again, nothing is guaranteed in life. We want you to join us here at Creditor Academy, where you can operate in the private and take control and live in sovereign. So you can protect what you build, pass on what matters. Thomas Jefferson has a famous quote, when people fear the government, there is tyranny. But when the government fears the people, there is sovereignty. You're going to board as a student and land as a sovereign once you join Creditor Academy and our masterclass. Masterclass is the best, everything that you need to go private all in one place. Masterclass is my way of showing you my standard, me and my team standard here at Creditor Academy. You get instant access to Sovereignty 101, which is freshman year of our Creditor Academy courses, where you discover the foundations of sovereignty, your legal identity, and how the system views you. We have the most comprehensive LMS system, learning management system. The learning management system we partnered with Cipher. Cipher is the largest learning management system in the world and used by the University of Washington, University of Philadelphia, and others. We have instructional designers on staff here at Creditor Academy who get their degree and got their bachelor's and master's degrees in education and how to structure courses, so then the learner has the best ability to learn not only about Sovereignty 101, but what it also means to become private, operate privately, and access your unlimited credit. But I Want Remedy Now is our hottest service right now. You can get access to I Want Remedy now by clicking Learn More, and you get everything that you need to take control of your credit score, because you are not your credit score. You are not some profile in a database. The system is flawed. We equip you with lawful tools to dispute, correct, and discharge the mess they made. No shame, no fear, just remedy, process, and the power in your hands. I'm going to get all into that and more a little bit later today. But first of all, I wanted to go ahead and tell a very personal story that I don't share very often, and to tell you a little bit about my life. When I went to nursing school, I went to this great nursing school in Sacramento, California. And, I went to private Lutheran school my whole life, and I had a very high expectation to get good grades, show up to class, and get a high. My parents expected me to go really far into schooling. I had the opportunity to get taught by some really great instructors over the years and professors. And my nursing school was no different than that. I remember here's me graduating day with my friend at nursing school. Look at that, all dressed up at the college and all that. We got a little auditorium over there. And I remember that day so well. I was just like, finally, I got to graduate a nursing school. My mom was all happy. My family flew out from Seattle to come to Sacramento to watch my graduation. My mom has been a registered nurse for, about 42 years now, a super long time. So it was a very proud moment that she and my family got to witness. And but nursing school was very interesting because I learned not only a lot about the nursing program, but also I had a experience that relates very much to this movement that we're in, that happened in nursing school, that I want to share with you. That's a little bit personal. In the nursing program, about halfway through the program, we did clinicals at various different facilities, long-term care centers, specialty nursing facilities, and different assisted living facilities. And I remember the dean of nursing came in and she said, we have a very special clinicals that are coming up. And if you don't know much about the nursing program, the program is only as good as the clinical settings that they can get access to. Because if a nursing program doesn't have a contract for clinical work inside of a facility, then the students can't graduate. So clinicals were really important. And so the dean of nursing came in to our classroom and said, hey, everybody, we want to let you know that this next few weeks, you're going to take your finals. You're going to take some finals for this quarter class, these quarter classes. And we're going to choose 3 clinical rotations based upon the grades that you get or on these next finals. And we are going to reward those with the highest grade on these finals, and then we're going to subsequently take the lower grades and put you into different clinical settings. So that was very interesting. We didn't know what it was. Now, in nursing school, I mean, you ever heard this term, C's get degrees? Well, for me, it was B's get degrees, because the nursing program said you can't get below a B. They said 80% was a B. That's the lowest you can get. If you got below a B in any of your classes, you were kicked out of the nursing program. Isn't that rough? Isn't that rough? So everybody had to at least get a B. Okay, so we were pretty consistent in that. So I had the attitude, hey, B's get degrees. I had to really step in from C's to B's. But anyways, we took our finals, and I didn't try any harder. I just was like, oh, okay, I'm just going to pass this class. I already have a full class load. Plus, I got some work stuff to do after work. So I can't really overly exert and excel myself. And what's it really matter at the clinical rotation that I go in anyways? We all got to be a part of it. So everybody takes the test and the final. We get the results from the class, and then we are sectioned 10, 10, and 10. There was about 30 to 35 students in the whole nursing program that I was in. So the dean of nursing comes in, and she says, okay, now we placed you in order of best grades to middle to lowest, and we're happy to tell you what the three were. The new clinical location, which was a highly sought after one, was called Kaiser Permanente Hospital. And it was really, you know, an honor to be able to work in a hospital setting while you're going through nursing school, because you get access to the most diverse amount of patients. You get to go ahead and work on different floors, meet different doctors, and even have the opportunity to work for Kaiser Permanente by being able to talk and introduce yourself to administration. So the first 10 to 15 people were at the top of that class got into Kaiser Permanente. So the dean of nursing is like calling out everybody's name. Then the second line was like the B pluses, A minuses. I forget like where they put that in, which is the next 10 people. And they said, okay, you're going to go to a really nice assisted living facility. It was almost like a private, like Brookdale or an Aegis or something like that. So it wasn't a publicly, it wasn't like a state-run assisted living facility. So it got a little bit more oomph in it. So they got like, you know, the waterfalls. They got all the fancy like dining tables. It's mostly senior care and stuff like that. But I mean, it's a pretty posh spot in Sacramento that was in. So those were the second ring. So then the dean of nursing says, okay, students, as I call your name, go ahead and go to the professors in each one of the other rooms. They're going to give you the breakdown of, you know, your clinicals and where you're going to be going. So the first Kaiser Permanente went into the next room. And then the next one, which went to like the Brookdale Aegis type assisted living center, went into the next room. And then she says this, oh, don't you just hate it when teachers say, if I didn't call your name, stay seated. You didn't call. And I was like, okay, well, all right, I'm obviously in the lower one. And it's like everybody knows too. Everybody knows. Gosh, even if it's a B, people still look down on you, right? Oh, man. So anyways, so I'm sitting there. It was me. Actually, it was almost every guy in the program. Every woman excelled. So every guy in the nursing program was at the lowest of the class, and then that was 5 of us, and then the other 5 were the girls, who were the most dramatic ones you've ever met. And so we're sitting there in class, and she's like, okay, well, you all got, you know, your passing grades, so you get to still stay in the nursing program. However, you got the lowest grade, as I said. So these clinicals that we just assigned to everybody, they're going to go for 3 months. 3 months. So Kaiser Permanente gets to be there for 3 months, and then the assisted living for 3 months. And I immediately asked, do we get to rotate? And they're like, no, there is no rotation. You're at where you at. I told you it was a big deal. I told you to study hard. You're stuck with what your options are. And so she said, so then she brings in calls in the guest and says, okay, now we're going to bring in the person or representative from the facility you're going to. And guess who walks through the door? It's a representative from Folsom Prison. And they're dressed up. They got pure black. She was dressed in all black, black tie with gray stripes, pinned pants, blackest shine shoes you've ever seen. And she's just like, you guys for the next 3 months are going to go in the most maximum security prison in all of the state of California for the next 3 months. And I was like, me? No way, man. No way. Are you kidding me? And I even asked, I was like, isn't that where Johnny Cash is? Didn't he sing about Folsom Prison? He wasn't there. He just sang and did tours and gigs and like offered there. And I was kind of like, oh, this is, you know what? This sounds interesting. You know, this sounds very, you know, I'm not totally against it. But I kind of, so I was poking fun at the dean of nursing. I was just like, so you're telling me because I got a B, you're going to send me to Folsom Prison? I was dying. So I was just like, for 3 months. And she's like, yep. And she was like, okay, now you need to go ahead and you need to follow our protocol. We're going to have an onboarding meeting in a couple weeks, and you'll show up into a room to this prison. We'll check you in, and then we'll give you your orientation. Before you come to orientation, I wanted to come here to set some ground rules on what it is that you need. One, there's no cell phones inside of Folsom Prison whatsoever. And I was like, what? And I'm like, there's no telecommunications, no technology, nothing. You can't even bring in a pen, not even a pen. And I was like, okay. And all nurses have to wear, everybody that works at the prison is color coordinated. All nurses have to wear white. All of us had to wear white. So you need to buy new scrubs. Now our scrubs were blue. Our scrubs were blue. So this was the scrubs that I would wear, you know, when I was working in the program. I had a darker blue ones. Gosh, look how young I look. Look how young. Look how young. Look how old that phone is. Where's the 4K? So anyways, so we have blue scrubs. So I had to go buy white scrubs. And I remember I was sitting in the class. There was this woman named Cece. Man, what? Cece would not get off my ass. She was like, she made it her mission in life to make my life aggravating, you know? And he's like, and so she would like poke fun at me like all of the time. And I remember we were even in the class and be like, well, sir, I'm kind of concerned about Paul Michael. How is he going to survive prison? You know, have we thought about this? Shouldn't he go to the assisted living facility where he feels more safe? And I'm like, God, you pain in my ass. And I said, Cece, you're going there too. And he's like, yeah, but I think between the two of us, you can agree, Paul Michael, you're the prettier one. So the guys will probably like you more. I'm like, God, you bitch. I just, oh, she just knew how to like get in under my skin. So anyways, so she says, so the correctional representative was just like, you have to all wear white. So go ahead, do your shopping, get some scrubs, and then come in the next day. And we start on Monday. So I spent the weekend going ahead and getting my white scrubs. And I remember I went over to like there's scrub shops all over Sacramento, you know, like little workman's warehouse places. So I went ahead, went inside. I had a very unhelpful agent that worked at the scrub place. It's like they were new. But I said, hey, I never really bought scrubs before. They were assigned to me by the college, the nursing school. I need to go ahead and get white scrubs for the prison that I'm going into. And I remember I was trying on different white scrubs, and there were very few of them, to be honest, like very surprising. But there was one white scrub that I got. I even have a picture of that, where it was a very good fit. Like I was working out and I was like doing fitness all the time. And I like made it a mission in the class. Like I said, oh, I'm going to be working out, and I'm going to be, you know, really hitting the gym a lot. And so I was actually in really good shape during this time. And so while I was working out in good shape, I tried on these one particular white scrubs. And I was like, oh, this is a really good fit. So I went ahead and bought those scrubs. And then I went on Monday to go to the prison. So when I went ahead and came to the prison and I showed up, we all had to check in. We had to walk through through the big prison gates. There's the guard that checks us in. We go to the parking lot. We walk through the front entranceway, which leads us down a really long corridor. The long corridor at the very end of it is two rooms. To run to the right is the one where we did our orientation, and they kind of just told us the rules. And then to the left was the actual signing in. Like you had to wait in line for all the staff to sign in, and then they had to pat you, check you up and down. After that, then you go into the main facility. Now, the rules for going to Folsom Prison is no staff can talk to one another. Nothing personal. That was the first thing they told us on orientation day. You can't say anything personal about yourself. And I was just like, so like, we can't tell people about our day. we can't, or how we did over the weekend? And she's like, no, these are the most hardened criminals in Northern California. And like, you do not want them to overhear what your habits are. Oh, I go to the Nugget or the Whole Foods on Saturday. Oh, I went to this movie theater and that was so much fun with my friends. Anything personal communicated with other staff members is a risk. It's a safety risk. And since you are all students, we're going to be really strict on that. I was just like, so no phone, no technology whatsoever, no pens, patted down, going into a high maximum security prison where I can't talk anything personally about myself, and I'm stuck with Cece. She was like, oh man. So I was doing the most. So we go over, and we have been chauffeured throughout the facility the whole entire time. As we're checking in, we're all standing there, and Cece was, we finally all had a moment to ourselves. And Cece, while we were waiting to get checked in, she was like, "Oh, Michael, that's a very nice scrub top you got there." And I was just like, "Yeah, I know. I chose it out just over the weekend." And she's like, "Wow, you really look like you got some meat on you, that you got a lot of muscle." I was like, "Yeah, appreciate that you noticed that." And she's like, and I was just like, "Did you buy a shirt or a scrub top that was way too small?" And I was like, I was even thinking to myself at the time, I was just like, oh, I don't think I brought it. I was just like, yeah, I was a little bit smaller than usual, but it was, I was appreciative of it. And she's just like, what size is that? And I said, I think an extra large or an extra large. And she's like, how do you have a scrub top that's an extra large and it's that tight on you? And I was just like, I just found it, maybe it's a European size. I don't know. And she's like, let me take a look at that. Dude, this girl, out of all the things, I guess if you're like out for someone, you're just going to notice something more than the others. I'm telling you, this girl had it out for me. She comes up, pulls my tag like this, and then reads it, pulls it over to show all the other nursing students as well, and then turns me around and says, "Paul Michael, this is a woman's scrub top." I said, "No fucking way." And I was just like, you're wrong. It's European. And she's like, "You're wearing a women's scrub top at the most highest maximum security prison in Northern California." I didn't want to believe her. I didn't want to believe her. And then the other girls are like, actually, yeah, I think you're right, Cece, and whatever. And the guys were just laughing. And on top of it, it was the security guards that were there too, that were hearing about it as well. And they were like, no way, you got women's scrub tops. And I was mortified. I was like, this cannot be happening. So anyways, so we go in there. I'm paired with Cece. Cece will not shut up. She was just like, hey, we can't say anything personal outside the prison, but we can talk about things inside the prison. And she made a whole day out of that. She made a whole day. So that was my first day in Folsom Prison, in which I got new scrubs the next day. Oh man, that was so wild. So anyways, I'm getting to a point here. But now I'm in Folsom Prison. I go back, and there's a certain medical unit that is where all the prisoners come to go and get their checkups, their medications, and all of that. And I remember it was just a brick building, and it was the skinniest hallway, about half the size of this room, so about this. And you walk down these two brick sides, and there's little rooms with metal doors, and all the doors remain open the whole time. And then you got this security guards that go ahead and stand along that corridor, and they watch the inmates come into you. And so I was just like, okay, so my job was basically to do the intake forms. So I would have prisoners, hardened criminals, go ahead and sit down with me, and I would do the intake form. The intake form says, what's your issue? What's the problem? What's the checkup and whatnot? They all wanted fentanyl or some pain medication. Every single one of them was in pain. Could you believe it? Hey, I got this huge raging pain in my back. Oh, it's nurse, it hurts so much. It hurts so much. And I'm like, yeah, so what can I do for you? You're like, oh, if I just had some Vicodin, I know it would take care of it. And every single time we gave them ibuprofen. The only time that they got harder medication than ibuprofen is if they really had an extreme issue and the doctor approved it. And then if the doctor approved it and gave it to them for pain management, if they were ever caught distributing it to anywhere else, then, you know, they lost their privileges forever. But I remember being in Folsom Prison, and for 3 months time period, people were obsessed with law. They were obsessed with it. I would ask, how's your day going? And then they asked the same thing for me. They'd be like, how's your day going? What'd you do over the weekend? And I said, I can't answer any of those questions. We're just here to talk about you. And so I remember a lot of them, you know, because when you're doing the checkup, the blood pressure, your check, you know, doing the intake form, asking the questions, we have this small talk. And I remember so many of them were like law students. They were like really interested in law. And they would say like, you know, and they would tell me things. And I would just, at the time, I didn't really think much of it, because most of the time they just studied to try to get themselves out of Folsom Prison. Right. And so I just said, oh, you're into law and whatever. And they would tell me these stories. That was very interesting. That now that I look back, I can see the bigger picture now. In Folsom Prison, or in prison systems in general, but I can only speak for Folsom specifically, there's this area called the Law Library. It's another brick building, and it's a very small library. There's maybe like, you know, shelves, like 5 or 6 shelves worth of books, of law books. And they had Black Law's Dictionary, Bouvier's, they had different, you know, reference material. I didn't get a good look at all of what they had. But what you had to do was, that I thought was interesting, that I would hear the most amount of complaints about, is like, Paul Michael, I put my name down for the law library. You have to wait 3 months, 2-3 months. Then you get access to the law library, but then you only can be in there for 20 minutes. And you gotta go in there, read as much as you can, be about your books and your studying, and you can't lease out any of the books inside of the law library. And I was like, really? And she's like, yeah, Paul Michael, I'm here to tell you, brother, like, if your freedom is not really free inside of here. They don't want you to learn the law, man. They don't want you to learn about the straw man. And I was just like, and I just ignored that. Like, I just one ear, one out the other, and I whatnot. You know, these are hardened criminal. I mean, I'm talking MS-13, like, type cats. Like, these people, tattoos, like, you know, and you know what? We're not allowed to know what the criminal did to get into prison. That's against the rules as well. But you know what the guards do is they talk shit. They just said, oh, you know that guy, oh, he did this, he did that. You know, you're bored all day. All you do is just gossip, you know. And so, because you can't talk about outside stuff. So that's what the guards do. They go ahead, they make fun of them, they point and laugh at them, and then they go ahead and, you know, say, hey, you know, that person's in here because of such and such reason. And I said, wow, well, that makes me feel really fuzzy inside when they get put into a room with me by myself in my women's scrub top. That's going to make me feel really safe. Like, sometimes the less you know, you better. So after I went through a lot of these people, the straw man just kept on getting brought up. And I remember this one guy, he was, you know, he came often enough. He had a very specific ailment. I won't say exactly what it was, but he had to come in daily. I remember when he came in, He was the one that gave me the most amount of information on the subject. It's through the books. And he's like, but I don't know if it's in the books that are actually in the law library or if it's from the information that I can get from others. But this guy would write all over himself the straw man, UCC 1-308, and all of these, little notes that he had for himself, because he was either limited on having a pen or paper. It was one of the two. But he would have notes of different things that he would want to research. And I remember he would tell me, he was just like, again, Paul Michael, the freedom for the people inside of here and outside of this place is in the law. They're not telling us the truth about our freedom. And, I would just listen very kindly. But this is where I started to learn for the first time when I heard about it, about what affidavits were, what an administrative record was, what credit was all about, and how the credit game is actually built on an illusion of debt. And the debt could be fulfilled by commercial process, lawful remedy, and paper-based pressure to create real change. And he's just like, all of this is that I'm in here, Paul Michael, is because of one thing. It's because of a charge. He's like, if I can discharge the charge, then I would be a free man. Now, here we are years later, and a lot more research myself. And I tend to agree with that man, that your freedom is in the law, not in the statutory law, not in the regulations by the corporation or the corporate state, but the freedom is in the details. That Patrick Devine said, you have to read in between the lines, between the dictionary terms, between the administrative processes and what they're trying to keep from you in plain sight. The birth certificate is the contract of consent to long-term liability. The liability is in your federal employment status. As a federal employee, or even an employee for any corporations, you have to follow the company's policy and procedure. And your authority is only extended as far as your position in the company. No secretary at Creditor Academy can dethrone me as CEO. And if you are in your rightful position in the American Republic, then no one can dethrone your position either. You see, there's a hierarchy to this system. It's God over we the people over the state over the federal government over the artificial entities. The straw man is an artificial entity in which they have us identify with. If you identify with the artificial entity or consent to its jurisdiction, your federal overlords have complete control over you, right? So that's what at Creditor Academy sophomore year is all about. It's about restoring order within their commercial system. It's about restoring order. Sophomore year is the SPC status correction, your private ID, and your badge of authority. Because becoming private is to exit the public system and operate under your own private authority that was granted to you by the U.S. Republic. We take very seriously your position in this hierarchical order because it's in alignment with God. And you can't be a part of this movement if it's not a spiritual journey at the same time. God is the ultimate sovereign authority in which we delegate to these other entities for the benefit of we the people. We are the greatest nation because we're the nations of freedoms, and we can uphold or get back our freedoms as long as we consent back into the jurisdiction of the republic. And this is how your credits work as well. If you want to be able to answer the question that was asked to me by that inmate about how to discharge in order to get his freedom, you need to know about that the entire credit game is built on an illusion. Your debt was monetized the moment you signed. Your promissory note or your birth certificate became an asset. You created value, and then they turned around and charged you to borrow what you funded. It's backwards. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. If you get this knowledge down, you'll be able to discharge and settle invalid debts or charges. You can challenge anything that's unverifiable. You can build credit, unlimited credit, intentionally. You can create private credit using your trust senior EIN numbers. And most importantly, you can stop being the debtor and start acting as a creditor. I don't fix credit by accident. I beat the credit game by learning what it really was. And then I use their tools better than they do. Now it's your turn to do the same. Whether you're in a position of artificiality, meaning you're in your straw man still, or maybe you maxed out your credit cards and you miss payments and you feel stuck inside of this credit system that's enslaving you to a 9-to-5 job that was just as abusive as the prison system that I was working in. There is a way out. There is a way out. You are not broken. The system is. And it's time to stop apologizing for what you didn't know and start taking action with what you know now. At Creditor Academy, we give you the tools to do exactly that. The I Want Remedy Now program includes a one-on-one consultation with a credit specialist to get you out of the debt that you need. Sovereignty 101 is the foundation of all your learning so you can know how you can beat the game instead of being a part of it. Sophomore year, Becoming Private, is the step-by-step on how to exit their commercial system. Junior year, Operate Private, is about separating the liability. It's about not you being personally on the hook. It's now the entities that you control. And the entities you control are your own straw man. The same game that they play, you can do even better. And then finally, Ryan's amazing class is Unlimited Private Credit, where you can take action and control over your business credit, your trade lines, the bureaus, and all that, and really know what it means to be truly unlimited as it relates to operating in the private. We want all of this for you and more because we don't want you to watch endless YouTube videos. Stop submitting paperwork you don't understand. Stop putting your hopes and dreams into something just because someone on the internet told you. You need a organized step-by-step method by professionals that know what they're talking about. But not only that, but you need it in a structured manner. This is why I invested in instructional designers here at Creditor Academy. They have bachelor's and master's degrees to put together these curated courses, modules, lesson plans, videos, breakdowns, examples, quizzes, essays, live instructors, and more into the Academy. So there is no excuse for your success with us. We are not in the business of sovereignty. The Constitution and our founding fathers and God already did that. We're in the business of education and to give you the best education possible so then you can apply your God-given rights and enforce what the founding fathers wrote within the Constitution of your independence. That's what Creditor Academy is all about. If you want to join us at Creditor Academy and you want to see the standard that we have set for myself, start with Masterclass membership. It's $69 a month. We're running an awesome special right now for Masterclass memberships that you can check up on our website. But for $69 a month, everything that I mentioned that you get as a part of the Academy with what my instructional designers and myself put together is included with your membership. You get freshman year of Creditor Academy Sovereignty 101, so you can see for yourself how much we have invested to make you guys your education quality. I want to thank everybody for coming today. It's Tuesday. It goes by so fast. The weekend is here. It's Tuesday. I hope that you guys are having a great week on viewing us on YouTube. If you have not hit the like or the notification bell, or you haven't hit subscribe yet, hit that button right now. Also be a part of our private Facebook group, our TikToks, and our other social media. And really, don't just try us out for not only the education, but be a part of what we're doing at Creditor Academy because of the community. The community that we have is growing every single day. We meet in live classes. We interact with one another in our different channels. And really, to go on this spiritual journey to sovereignty is not only a realization and to step out into the matrix, but to find a community of like-minded individuals that you can go on this journey with too. Once again, everybody, I want to thank you for joining me today. I will see you next time. This Thursday, we have on YouTube another big subject that we'll be talking about, so you won't want to miss out on that. Until next time, everybody, take care of yourselves and your loved ones. Bye, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. All right, so I'm off of YouTube. Wow, Folsom Prison.